How to lose visceral fat in 1 week? You absolutely can. And I'm going to give you a simple 5 step-by-step process that you can action immediately. You'll know exactly what to do to be able to lose all of your visceral fat. And I know this because I was making the exact same mistakes and I was able to lose all of my visceral fat. And not only that, as I've been coaching, as a medical doctor, I see my cases of visceral fat increase each and every single day. And the reason for this is it's not even your fault. It is the way society has been organized, the things that they're putting in our food, that we gain visceral fat unknowingly. So you may even look good in a shirt, but have a tremendous amount of visceral fat. And look at all my clients. All of them had the exact same issue that you had, and they were able to see incredible progress within a week. Of course, if you're at 30%, 40% body fat, it will take longer, but not to worry. Following this 1 week protocol will be the hammer and chisel you need to chip away at that visceral fat. The good news is visceral fat is a lot easier to get rid of compared to the subcutaneous fat. So let's not waste any time and dive straight in. Number 1, why is visceral fat so dangerous? Compared to subcutaneous fat that is not surrounding our organs, visceral fat is a toxic sludge. Have you ever had chili food? It burns in your mouth, it burns your gut, and it burns on the other end. Now imagine that burning sensation happening throughout all the organs in your body. Visceral fat releases a lot of inflammatory markers, inflaming and almost giving this burning sensation to all your other organs. And this is why it increases the likelihood of a cardiovascular event. It increases the likelihood of a diabetic event or any other chronic condition. Visceral fat has a direct link, and this is why it's so important that we get rid of it. But again, not to worry, I am going to give you everything you need to be able to lose it, because just like my own mom, who had metabolic syndrome and was having all the markers of metabolic syndrome at the high end, I'm gonna show you exactly what we did to reverse that. So step number 1, with knowing how to reverse your visceral fat, what cannot be measured cannot be managed. We need to know, okay, are we going north in our weight or south? Are we losing the visceral fat? Where we are, our starting point, and if this protocol is working in a week-to-week basis. So I want you to take a Taylor's tape. For all my coaching clients, we always get a Renfo tape. Now you can choose any, and I want you to measure the circumference of your belly, literally around your belly button or the most distended part around your waist, and see what your waist circumference is. And this will allow us to know if we have confirmed visceral fat. So for males, if you have a waist size over 40 inches, you definitely have visceral fat, which is roughly about 102 centimeters. For women, that's 35 inches, which is 88 centimeters. Now, if you're within that range, that 80 to 100, maybe even 70, individuals with even smaller waists who still have a belly can still have visceral fat. But by doing this, you can measure your waist every single Sunday at 8 a.m. and compare your waist circumference and see if your waist circumference is increasing or decreasing. But with the other 4 steps I'm about to share, you will see your waist size come down. You start feeling amazing in your shirts. Clothes that you are wearing in the past, you can start wearing again. Really use all of those. If you want a scientifically proven way to determine the exact amount of visceral fat you have, there are 2 tests that we can do, and we do this a lot with our clients at Sculpt by Science, is we do a DEXA scan. It will tell you exactly how many grams of visceral fat you have, and we can also do it through MRI. And on a week-to-week basis, through the tape measurement, we can analyze if we're seeing progress. And what I also recommend, if you have the budget for it, is to do a DEXA scan maybe on a monthly basis in the beginning, and then every 2 months to see, okay, is the actual grams of visceral fat decreasing? And this way we will know if we're going north or south in terms of visceral fat. Before I go into the next step, I just got an idea. Let me know if you guys want me to make a video titled the best breakfasts, the lunches, the dinners to lose visceral fat. If you want more detailed guides on which foods to specifically cook, the ingredients, how much, just leave the video a like and say, Dr. Mike, make the visceral fat diet meals. But let's continue. Now, step number 2 is the easiest thing we can do with visceral fat. Now, I'll explain the logic of why so many people are gaining visceral fat. Think of it this way. When your body eats certain foods and it spikes your blood sugar too high consistently, when you're consuming too much, Your body has to put that food somewhere and it has to do it quickly. And the easiest place to put it is inside of your body, around your organs. And this already is giving you a hint of the things that you're doing and that you're eating. Number one, we want to keep our blood sugar levels as stable as we can. And number two, we want to give the body time to be able to process the foods. So the first thing I recommend, the first line of defense, is intermittent fasting. Now I know so many of you are saying, Dr. Mike, I've heard this before, but intermittent fasting is the simplest way to be able to control your blood sugar because it is a simple on and off button. You have your blood sugar turned off and keeping your glucose low in a certain time period, and you have it turned on. This way you know, I've spent X amount of time with low blood sugar, which is great, and my body's utilizing visceral fat that we're trying to get rid of as its source of energy. And if you do fasting long enough, your body's gonna continuously tap into the visceral fat. So what I recommend, you can start at a 12-12 fast. So you eat at 8 a.m. and the last meal is 8 p.m. And the big benefit here is that you'll stop snacking. Then move over into a 14-10. You're simply just moving your breakfast from 8 a.m. to 10 a.m. And let's say you give that about a week. And then the following week, 2 weeks after, I want you to go from a 14-10 to a 16-8. Now, you may be asking, Dr. Mike, why don't we just do the 16-8 in the first place? We need to give the body the ability to adapt. You need to allow your body to really understand what you're doing to it versus just doing a very aggressive cut. This way you can also mitigate some of the side effects of fasting, which some people will say they feel a little bit lightheaded, they're feeling a little bit weaker in energy, and they're also having a lot of hunger signals because your body's used to eating. You're going to get a ghrelin spike in the morning, but when you slowly transition, you'll probably just notice that there's no difference and you're not hungry. You can mitigate a lot of the side effects. But perfect. When it starts becoming effective is when we get into this 16-8 fast. What starts to happen is a beautiful process in your body. There's a sensor in your body called AMPK that senses in your body energy levels. And when AMPK senses that, hey, we're not putting in a lot of food in the system, this is where it starts pulling from your visceral fat as a source of energy. So as you start doing this fasting protocol, you will just start noticing, hey, I'm less bloated, my stomach is less distended. You'll start feeling a lot more energetic because now your body's becoming a lot more efficient at utilizing food, especially through this control of blood sugar, because now you're making things more predictable. And you can even say, okay, you know what? I'm actually gonna have a late lunch and do 2 p.m. and finish at 8 p.m. and that's 18-6. But now you're asking, Dr. Mike, fantastic. Okay, I understand. I should fast. What do I eat in fasting? Drink water. Water is the base for all chemical reactions in your body. Things start moving properly. It is a lubricator. It will lubricate the chemical processes. It'll lubricate your joints. It'll lubricate your brain. So many people aren't drinking enough water. The easy way I let my clients know how much they should drink is half of your body weight in fluid ounces. So if you're 200 pounds, 100 fluid ounces, which is in that 2 to 3 liter water range, which is in that 0.8 to a gallon a day. I highly recommend sparkling water. This is amazing because of its electrolytes. Your body can retain the water a bit better. You're good to go with teas. You're good to go with black coffee with 0 sugar. What we're trying to do, the big picture here, is we're trying to have a low insulin level. We don't want any insulin spikes in this moment because we know if insulin is low, fat loss is happening. And why visceral fat comes off so much easier compared to subcutaneous fat is a simple word, and it's called blood flow. There is more blood flow within your body compared to the outside. So it's easier for your body to tap into those energy stores. And I'm gonna show you how to ignite your visceral fat, to burn it off completely in the next few steps. So now you understand what to have in your fasting periods. The next thing I wanna tell you that we need to stop doing, because there's no point in fasting, but you're still eating these foods, is we need to eliminate ultra processed foods. And I just wanna explain it to you logically. When we eat an apple, for example, an apple contains the sugar, the fructose, its carbohydrates, which so many people demonize. The big difference with an apple is that when you take a bite, your body does all of the processing of that apple through mechanical digestion in your mouth, right? Even chemical digestion through saliva, and even chemical digestion through the acid in your stomach. Your body takes its time processing it, and eventually when that apple gets to your bloodstream, you don't get this insane glucose spike. But with ultra processed foods, think of the word processed, all that processing happened in a lab already. So when you're eating the candies, you're eating the bars, all those foods were already processed. When you eat it, your body's like, not too much work for me to do here. Put it into your bloodstream, increases your blood sugar. Your body's like, I don't know what to do with all this sugar, and it stores it as fat. So how to know what is highly processed and what is not processed? The best foods to eat have 5 ingredients or less. The second best foods to eat has 10 ingredients or less. So from now onwards, simply ask, how many ingredients does this food have in front of me, right? So all the whole foods have single ingredients. They're packed with minerals and vitamins. Anything with 10 and above is what I consider ultra processed. This will spike blood sugar. This will consequently add onto your visceral fat. And again, I'm not demonizing these foods like the croissants and the breads. They're all good in moderation. But now you know, okay, Dr. Mike, I know to get away from the ultra processed foods. Go into your home. If it has more than 10 ingredients, get rid of it. And I've done this myself. I've chucked it all. I'll give you a real life example. For breakfast, you can have 1 whole egg with 8 ounces of egg whites. And you can maybe have a toast with Ezekiel bread, right? You can still have bread compared to the white bread, for example. If we have this tactic to lose also all visceral fat. If you want to be a lot more aggressive, you can just decide you want to have some scrambled egg whites, right? With 1 whole egg for some healthy fats. For lunch, you can decide, fantastic, I'm going to have 10 ounces of a white fish, mahi, cod. All of those things are fantastic because they're high in selenium, high in iodine. You can say, I'll have white cod, and instead of rice with the fish, I'll have sweet potatoes. I think the best thing I can do for you is I'm going to break them down into protein, carbs, and fats. So to tell you what foods to eat, the easiest thing I can do is break it down into protein, carbs, and fats. And you will remember this forever. So let's start with protein. This is going to be the most processed thing that I'm going to recommend on this list, and that is a whey protein. Now, whey protein is processed, but what an amazing way to get a protein source on the move if you have a sweet tooth, just so that you have a little bit of a transition, right? You don't want to go full cold turkey, but having a protein shake or having a whey protein in the diet can make life just a little bit easier. We want to make this sustainable. And remember, 2 scoops of a whey protein is equivalent to 50 grams. Eating a high protein diet alone has shown to decrease significant amount of visceral fat because the protein will help you build more muscle, which will absorb all the glucose, right, when you're eating. It will also help satiate you. Protein is very filling. You've never heard someone say, I got fat from eating too much protein. And then finally, what's great about protein is that it also boosts your metabolism. It takes your body so much energy to break down protein compared to carbs and fats. So it's very beneficial. Number 2 is 6 ounces of chicken breast a meal. Chicken breast is amazing and a great protein source. For all of you who say, Dr. Mike, I hate eating dry chicken, do it in the air fryer, thank me later. And then we want sirloin steak, anything with an oin, filet mignon, top sirloin, tenderloin, those are fantastic. We want to skip on the tomahawks or the high fatty meats. And then finally, we can go for any white fish. Mahi, cod, tuna is great, but that's a little bit more in terms of grams of protein. 2, 6, 8, 10 equals 50. All the foods I just described will give you 50 grams of protein. So if you're 200 pounds, pick the 4, or pick 2 and eat them twice, for example. Use that formula from now onwards. Now, carbohydrates is the big thing, right? Everyone has demonized carbohydrates, but I am going to show you how to know if carbohydrates are good, if they're safe or not safe, right? There's a range, it's a spectrum. Now, all you need to do, and I'm showing you a chart on the screen, it's a glycemic index. The best way I can describe a glycemic index is that it's ranking foods that spike your blood sugar. 100 glycemic index, right? Something that has 100 score on glycemic index spikes your blood sugar the most. I want you to think a pack of Haribos. And on the opposite spectrum, what spikes your glycemic index the least is, for example, an apple or an orange. Yes, they contain sugar, but the sugar spike, and I'm showing you a chart comparing high glycemic index food spikes versus low. What we want to do is select our foods from medium to low glycemic indices foods. And the more you pick from that list, the more visceral fat you will lose. It's as simple as that. All the foods that are low in glycemic index but are great for you is obviously fruit and vegetables, is obviously oatmeal. Sweet potatoes are fantastic for you. Rice can be on the higher end. Quinoa is great in terms of glycemic index. And just do this protocol on a week-to-week basis. And if you need to decide, can I have this or not? Simply look at your glycemic index. Finally, with losing our visceral fat, most people think I should cut out all fats altogether, and that's incorrect. You want to cut out unhealthy fats and you want to keep more healthier fats, which I'm going to tell you which they are. Avocados, extra virgin olive oil, flax seeds, fantastic. Brazil nuts, the almond nuts as well, but Brazil nuts, you just need 2 to 3. I don't need you to be snacking on that every day, but those healthy fats will really help your body get rid of the fats that we don't need. Now at this stage, you guys may be saying, wow, Dr. Mike, this is a lot of things to consume. Take it step by step, do one action at a time. For individuals who want to work with my team of doctors and you want a guaranteed way to make sure you lose all of your visceral fat, I encourage you and invite you to book a call with me and my team of doctors. We're not incentivized for you to do our thing, but we do promise that we'll leave you better than when we found you. We are a very small team, so we will be selective in terms of application, but we're focused on all of the things we're inputting into our body. It's time we focus on all the things that we're putting out of our body. Now, remember when I was talking about blood flow? If things in your body aren't moving, they're just gonna hang around. The more they're moving, the more your body is going to move things around and put it where it needs to. But if you want to incinerate your visceral fat, we want to increase blood flow. Now, on a longer term horizon, using resistance training and building muscle is fantastic. Why? Because essentially, as you have insulin spikes, what insulin does is that it transports the glucose to where it needs. The more muscle you have, the more glucose can be put into your muscle versus stored as fat. And the way I love describing muscle is that it's a sponge. It will really correct all the mistakes. It will absorb the glucose necessary, processed or unprocessed. So the more muscle you have on your frame, the better. But that's a long-term investment. Now, what can we do, Dr. Mike, in a week to accelerate our visceral fat? And the simple answer is do things that increase your heart rate. Now, on a lower level, as a more maintenance plan where we're chipping away slowly at visceral fat, I highly recommend the steps. The steps allows us to really put the food to work, to really burn those easy calories. Those are easy give me points. And resistance training is fantastic. Walking is fantastic, but moderate to high intensity training where your heart rate is higher is the best to lose visceral fat. So I'm gonna show you what to do. So every day I want you to do the steps, but minimum, I want you to do 1 to 2 moderate to high intensity interval training. Now that is completely dependent on your level of fitness, but not to worry, I'm gonna give you the source. Just hold on a little bit. We are now going to walk 10,000 steps every day. We need to chip away at that visceral fat. And why the walking is also great is that it's going to be your insurance policy for the future. We don't want the visceral fat to come back. Now, the moderate intensity exercise that I recommend is doing things like the Japanese walking technique. The Japanese walking technique is an incredible way to do moderate level exercise and burn more visceral fat. And I'm gonna show you the highest level. You speed walk for 3 minutes, and then you do a regular walk for another 3 minutes. So you speed walk 3 minutes and you do a regular walk, and you wanna do that for 5 rounds. This has shown to reduce your waist size. This has shown to improve blood pressure. This has shown to improve your VO2 max without really taxing your body. And what's amazing is, I always tell people 30 minutes of walking will give you 3,000 steps. 30 minutes of Japanese walking technique will give you 4,500 steps in 30 minutes. So you can also burn a few extra calories because you have those moments of acceleration. So I recommend doing one session of Japanese technique daily, if you can. If you want to do it every 2 days, go for it. But my advice is ramp it up slowly. Start at 1 session, start at 2 sessions, or you can go 5 sessions of Japanese walking technique for 30 minutes. It's such an easy investment. Now, on a higher intensity level, research has shown that will really incinerate your visceral fat is high intensity interval training. So pick your poison. You can pick any machine. I personally love the machines that have low impact. And when I say low impact, I don't like that on my knees and my ankles. When you enter your 30s, guys, it gets a bit more challenging and the recovery takes a lot of time. But these are the tools that I recommend. So let's say for everybody, I know everyone has a treadmill. Let's say you said, Dr. Mike, I only have a treadmill. Tell me what to do. The lowest impact thing you can do is for 5 minutes, walk on a flat incline on the treadmill. I'm thinking 3 miles per hour. After 5 minutes, your body's warmed up. I want you to go max incline at 3 miles per hour. After the 5 minutes, for 30 seconds, I want you to increase your speed. Let's say maybe 4 miles per hour to 5. And this is where you're starting to jog uphill, and do that for 30 seconds. After 30 seconds, bring it back to 3 miles per hour and then walk for 1 minute and 30 seconds for 90 seconds. So we want about 10 rounds of those 30-second pushes with 90-second relaxation, right? Active recovery. And what this does is that it increases your heart rate. It improves your blood flow. I recommend starting in a week on your first week protocol, a minimum of 2 sessions. Now, if you don't want to do the incline walk, you can definitely just sprint for 30 seconds, all out, where you can hold a conversation. This is roughly at that 140 beats per minute. That's the heart rate you want to get to, right? If you wanted to really measure 140 beats, that's that zone 2 area. And that is going to be amazing for subcutaneous belly fat loss and visceral fat loss. You can sprint for 30 seconds and then walk for 90 seconds and do that for 10 rounds. But the trick here is you want to be above that 140 beats per minute range. I would consider for, on average, 160 beats is that high intensity interval training. We've now tackled the output, and actually, because you have watched this far, I will give you a resistance training protocol to follow. I'm also going to give you a cardio routine to follow so that you can burn your visceral fat. I just decided I'm gonna do that because I wanna say a big thank you to you guys for helping me. My main goal on this channel is I wanna help as many moms and dads out there to get rid of their visceral fat so they can stay and live happily with their family even longer. It's linked in the description. All I need you guys in return for me is leave the video a gentle thumbs up and comment down below, guys, you need to watch till the end because there's so many people missing out on this important information. They'll see it and it will encourage them. I also encourage you to just share your story. Now, the final one is stress and sleep. These two things is basically how you get your computer to rest. It's taking your car to the service center so things can start working efficiently. So sleeping more and stressing less will help the efficiency, right? We want to also work smart. So always remember this with sleep. You need to become a professional sleeper. Mindset wise, you need to identify that. Why I say that is because as a medical doctor, I definitely had hustle culture, hustle mentality. I'll sleep when I'm dead, etc. Hey man, you don't sleep, you're gonna die soon. Like, it's gonna happen. If you look at it that way, you're gonna start taking sleep seriously. But these are some protocols to follow. It's simple. 10, 3, 2, 1. Let's say you decide, okay, from now onwards, I am going to sleep every day at 10 p.m., right? So then just that simple decision of sleeping at 10 p.m. allows us to have a sleeping time, and then we can calculate when we want to wake up, right? Now with this 10-3-2-1 method that I was telling you about, 10 hours before bed, no more caffeine. We all love a cup of coffee, but many of us are just drinking the innocent 1 to 2 cups post middle of the day. And you might be tossing and turning in bed, not realizing it's that you still have caffeine in your system. You're still energized. Caffeine has a half-life of 6 hours, which means, let's say that coffee that you drank at 3 p.m., 6 hours later at 9 p.m., half of that coffee is still in your system. 3 hours is we want to stop consuming food. Although you're done chewing, your body has a lot of work to do to break down all of that food, and essentially your entire system is working. It makes sleep incredibly difficult. 2 hours before bed, we want to stop consuming fluids. You don't want to be waking up at 3 a.m. to pee. And let's say that doesn't work. This is a nice foundation to start on. You can continuously play with these numbers, right? Maybe you say, hey, actually, I'm going to go 10, 3, 3, 1. So when I stop eating, I'm also going to stop drinking. And then the final thing, all of us are super exposed to our screens, right? Our devices emit the same light as the light that is from the sun. We call this blue light. And what happens is our eye detects the blue light and it tells our brain, hey, there's still sunlight, no need to produce the sleepiness hormone. The easiest way is put on some blue light blocking glasses that blocks blue light. There are these amber colors and they need to be that amber color to really block blue light, which will allow your body and your brain to start producing melatonin, the sleepiness hormone. Now, let's say you don't want to invest in glasses and look like the Terminator. You can just simply decide 1 hour before bed in 10, 3, 2, 1, reduce your exposure to the screens. But essentially what happens is with losing your belly fat in a week, losing your visceral fat, is that your body just becomes so much more efficient and you'll notice that, man, these guys are going to work and cleaning out this visceral fat. And the same with stress. The best way I like describing cortisol, yes, this is an oversimplification, but I know you guys love it because you remember it. Cortisol, I always see as anti-testosterone. So testosterone helps you build muscle, it gives you energy, and it boosts your metabolism. Cortisol breaks down muscle, helps you gain fat, and takes away energy. So when you're chronically stressed, you are also gaining more fat and more visceral fat when your cortisol levels are too high. And the simple way we can really counteract that and control that is through, number one, removing stressful factors. If you have a stressful boss in your life or stressful people, remove it. I see this in so many people, or just have a simple conversation. But without getting too deep on that side, meditation. I describe it as the bench press for the mind. And with meditation, it essentially allows you to really control the things that affect you. I now really get affected by much less things compared to when I was younger. I know how to allow my brain to really focus on what it needs to. If I have a problem, a lot of the times I'm like, I'm gonna deal with that later. That is a problem, but I'll deal with it later. It's not important. And that maturity through developing this mind bench press, you'll just notice that you're less stressed. So meditation is powerful. I used an app called Calm, and there's a 30 days beginner's guide. And I did that for 30 days and that app saved my life. So I highly recommend it. That 30-day beginner guide is by Jeff Warren. Great course to take. It's only 10 minutes a day. Maybe in the first week you won't feel anything, but if you're someone who's desperate, which usually people get desperate, they need to get desperate before they start meditating. But just simply practicing the breathing will put you in a more zen state and less cortisol. Journaling is super therapeutic. When people are boxing, when you box, you're breathing, you're focused on one thing. That's why it's so relaxing. People say running is very relaxing because when you're running, you're focused on your breathing, right? You're focused on not tripping. That's why it's so relaxing. I really hope you guys enjoyed the video and that it was helpful, that you finally have some answers and you're in a better position. Again, if you want to work with me and my team of doctors, I invite you to apply to work with us. But from what people have told me, this video right here is a more concrete step-by-step plan of how to build your meal plan. And I believe there's a recipe book in there. If you guys are more so beginners and you need to see what to do, I highly encourage you to watch this particular video. But I'm in the comment section down below for the next 48 hours. Any questions you have, I'm there for you. I want to see everyone win. I'll see you guys in the next one.